Sometimes things happen to us as children. How do those childhood trauma symptoms surface for adults? A couple of years ago, I had this fabulous opportunity to interview Hotness herself, Leta Greene, on my podcast. And we've been associated through the National Speakers Association. We've just been friends for years.
Which you're, kind of a big dog in, no big deal.
And, we have fun.
Yes, we do.
In fact, you can contact us about that if you're curious. But we're here today to talk about something that's pretty serious.
Yes.
You know that I'm a psychologist,
yes,
Leta, and I have worked through my whole career with people who have experienced some kind of trauma or abuse. And sometimes, even as children, when they experience that trauma or abuse, there are symptoms that bubble up into their adult life or start to affect their relationships. And a lot of times there's some long-term effects.
Yeah.
And these symptoms can be very diverse. Okay, depression, suicidality, self-harm, relationship conflicts. We could list a whole bunch of symptoms.
Yes. To controlling.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem. There's a whole
denial.
spectrum. Yeah.
All kinds of things. So, as I was thinking about this particular title, Leta, and I invited you to come and join me here because you recently put out a post on Facebook.
Right.
Will you just share that story briefly?
Well, I'm known as Hotness. I'm not known as trauma has happened.
Right.
I'm not known as anything bad's ever happened to me. In fact, usually people assume that nothing bad ever has happened. And I consider that an accomplishment, not a cover-up. That is something that I have worked very hard on me, that I don't want, hi, I'm Leta Greene, this has happened to me. And
lead with
to not have second generational trauma for my children.
Right.
Being a mom, being a wife, being a happy person, these are things that I will not allow my abuser to take from me.
Mm-hmm.
So in response to the Me Too movement, in response to this great conversation we're having in society about consent, about how we should be approaching not just men and women, but women can be abusers too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? It's not just, I've seen some anger that I'm like, I don't identify with that. And I have the right to speak about this because when you look to a little girl or a little boy who's gone through this and they see this level of discord, this level of anger, you go, oh, it's never going to get better. It's always going to be that bad. And I just felt, no.
That's part of the problem.
Right. It keeps the power in the abuser.
Right.
Or as I like to call the trespasser.
Okay.
Because they've gone somewhere they don't deserve or have any right to go.
Right.
And it gives them the power. It gives the experience the power. And so your whole entire life is about fighting against that instead of saying, this has happened. What are the lessons? What's the wisdom? I am a better protector. I am better at so many things because I'm looking at it from here instead of right there for my whole entire life. But it's taken time to move past that.
And it's something that you've done intentionally.
Very intentionally. This was not an accident.
Right.
This was not just one day I woke up and said, oh, good thing I'm all better. It's something that there were people in my life that confessed to me that hard things had happened to them.
Yeah.
And they told me that I could have a better life. And I believed them.
Well, you mentioned the Me Too movement, and if you do a search #MeToo, you're gonna see there's all kinds of traffic out there around this issue because this is a common thing that happens.
And it's a good discussion. I think that in the shadows is where dysfunction and secrets thrive.
Right.
So that this is coming out, that we no longer tolerate these kinds of things. This is good.
And childhood abuse or trauma. And take the childhood out. It can happen to adults too.
Right.
Any kind of abuse or trauma, by its nature, is thrown into this secrecy, this taboo area.
Yeah.
And as I saw that as you came forward with, hey, me too.
Yeah, I put it out
me
there,
too.
and within 12 hours I had a book deal.
You had a book
deal. And I'm like, oh, by the way, I guess I am Leta Greene. Hi, this happened to me.
And not everybody's in your position to have that happen to them. But what a powerful position you have now to share a message of empowerment that I think is so important.
Yes.
Because these symptoms come up, okay, and you realize, okay, yeah, I got some stuff in my past that maybe I'm not handling as productively as I might.
Right.
Maybe I'm not willing anymore to let those things continue to define me.
And I still have things.
Sure.
Like, I don't like to be yelled at.
That's weird.
But I'm like over the top about it. I'm like, we're done. Right? Mm-hmm. And I know where that comes from. But as an adult, I get to say, I do not accept this.
Right.
When I'm in a professional situation, I'll say, this is just
this
is a no-go for me. And I don't have to say, oh, I'm okay with it, it's fine, and put myself in a situation that's psychologically a no-go zone for me.
Yeah.
But that being said, 99% of my life, what happened does not affect my day-to-day thinking, my day-to-day interactions, my relationship with my husband, how I engage with my children, how I engage with other people. I look at other people and I don't see a lurking abuser.
Yeah.
I love people, but I used to fear people. And so I compare it to a destination, right? Okay, so I call it Happy Town. I know, Dr. Seuss.
Happy Town.
Right? Yeah, Dr. Seuss and I are like this, right? We might have to come up with some cute little
Well,
imagery.
Dr. Paul can get into that too.
So my dad's a truck driver, so I love the open road. I love everything about that. But signs, there's different signposts and different times and different destinations. And of course, sometimes the further along you go, the more tired you get.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to go do a little rest stop. Got to go get some food. That might be when you talk to a girlfriend. Hey, did I over respond to that? Sometimes I
get a little feedback.
Maybe. I check in with my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, this just happened. Was I a little crazy? Right?
And hopefully you have people who are who love you enough to tell you the truth.
Your best friends should be people who don't tell you how great you are. They're people who will tell you the truth. Which I'm blessed that I'm married to someone who does think I'm great, but will tell me the truth.
Yeah, right.
Will not enable me. That's a very easy, this happened to you? Oh, we should never. Oh. This enabling of people keeping you in that space. And I have people that know what happened to me, that are angry with me, that I'm doing so well.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
They want me to stay in the rest stop. They want me to have my
or someplace
axle broken.
other than Happy Town.
Right. And they're like, wow. I mean, I've actually...
Oh, you were abused? Oh.
Yeah. I should get a pass in life. I should get some kind of... And you see people, and we want to say this with tenderness, that it's easy to stay with, here's my card. I don't serve a ticket officer even though I was speeding because look what happened.
Well, there's at least two mentalities.
Right.
And we've talked about this in some other videos too, where there's this victim mentality, which the thing that I hate the most about abuse is that it trains and teaches and educates people to stay in that victim mentality.
Yes.
And you don't have to.
And you have to train yourself to go out of that.
Right.
Like I said, this was a lot of work. I don't want anyone to get this impression watching this conversation that we're having, saying, oh, why am I not like Leta? Because it's taken effort and time for me to be this very happy, genuinely happy person, because I've worked on my mental mindset, and no amount of outside people can make that happen for me. Yes, I gained tools, but I had to implement the tools.
Right.
Just like you have to drive your vehicle, other people can reach over and try to get you to drive it right.
Hijack it or whatever.
Right. And again, I know it's a commonly used analogy, but I'm a trucker's daughter, so I'm entitled to use it.
Absolutely.
Is right. And so in the destination to Happy Town, sometimes I have to go visit other destinations.
Right.
But I don't live there. Obviously, this Me Too movement coming out and seeing the anger, I kind of went, and I stumbled across a picture of my trespasser.
Triggers.
Right? I'm not even sure if trigger, it's like, kind of thing. I think it's funny, people are like, trigger. I'm like, we're kind of beyond trigger.
We're talking machine gun.
And I saw that, but I had the tools to put myself back into happy town. But while I'm at that destination, I can go, okay, what's the lesson in it for me now?
Right.
And so I had a conversation with my kids who already know because of other time that I was able to be on the first line recognizing a young girl who was being molested and was the star witness in court and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Kind of a funny story, but they know about these things. I've talked to my kids and it's not a trauma for them. In fact, as all this has been coming up with writing, my daughter said, Mom, I don't see you as someone who was abused.
Yes. Mission accomplished.
Oh, and
that's not even the most interesting thing about you or about you.
Yes. This is something that literally is a chapter of my life now.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to seem really odd, but I would not take away the wisdom from that. So therefore I can't take away the experience. And when we try to cover things up, we're not able to explore the lesson for us individually.
Right.
Not my fault, not your fault if you've been abused.
It's not about fault.
It's not about that. We think that lessons are tied with blame. No.
Right.
It's like if I get pushed off a cliff or I fall off a cliff, there's still a very valuable lesson in that. And gravity is going to happen.
And don't deny the pain of it. Of course it's painful.
But I'm going to have to decide to climb back up. Or I can just lay there being like, right? And spend my whole entire life being there. Or I can become something that I really love.
Yes. So rather than going to victim town, we're going to happy town. Leta, you and I are collaborating on some
Yes, and I'm so excited. I called you up and I was like, Dr. Paul.
We had a chat a few days ago, and that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
We're putting together some resources. You can contact us in the description information below if you're curious about what we're doing. Because at the filming of this particular video,
we're still putting it
all together.
Because you have pieces.
There's a lot of things coming though.
Yeah.
This doesn't have to be a trap. And we're also doing another video about generally how do we handle abuse. That could be helpful not only for those of us who may have experienced it, but for those of us who love someone who has. And I think every one of us is going to be in that category somewhere.
Well, unfortunately, this impacts most all of us.
Right.
And so if you're feeling that, you're not alone.
Right.
And the reason I'm giving up so much of my perfect little anonymity to do this.
That comfortable,
I'm in a very great place is because I realize that I have the words to explain what turn and what destination and what roadmap to be an example for the little girl that I was.
Right.
I would have loved to have known
that there was a path to happy town.
Right. And I could see glimpses of it.
Right.
And I consider this a gift from my God. And I have to give that credit to that I am in this place and I can't just say, no, I can't give this back.
Nice. Thank you, Leta.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
More to come. A big thanks to Leta Greene for helping out with this episode. Check out her website. It's in the description right down below.